Woo! All right. Today's the day. We're bringing in NgRx. I'm excited. Uh, look, just for the sake of tradition, let's look at what all we finished up yesterday, just to kind of set us with where we're at. I've got some things set up for us to look at already today, but yesterday we got our stuff set up with NxCloud. It was pretty cool. Got it set up, I think, 7 minutes. We got our in-memory content posts done. We talked about bringing in Mongoose, which we didn't get to. I think that's fine. I'm not going to try to do that today. I think I said yesterday I was going to try to do that first thing today, but I think the API is kind of all right where it's at. And so I'm wanting to focus on just the NgRx part and get in a nice sort of client data store of our content posts now that we have this kind of fleshed out enough that we can maybe get some stuff to work. And on our front end, we made a lib specifically for our content posts for our social media site. We created a list component that's communicating with the back end. It's doing that, by the way, directly through the HTTP client, which is fine. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But one of the things we're going to do today is turn that into an Angular service, so we can just some better type safety around that, define the API a little bit better. So that'll be good. And we also created a component to create a content post. So we're kind of communicating back and forth with the API. I'm going to go ahead and bring in the tasks I wanted to look at today. Let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. So first off, just I had mentioned we're going to look at the NxCloud app a little bit, and I forgot after we set it up. So we set it up, and it said it would take 10 minutes for an aggregation task to run, which it ran by the end. So I wanted to just show out how that looks. And we'll do that first real quick here. And then I wanted to take a moment to look at our depth graph, or depth chart. I think it's depth graph. When I was before I came to Narwhal, I was leading a team at kind of a smaller shop, and we would just pull out the depth graph. We didn't really have stand-ups per se, but we'd often pull it up and just like look at our app in terms of all the modules, make sure everything, all the dependencies made sense, and like we'd kind of plan just by visualizing the project via their depth graph. So I think that's a really good tool. I want to get into the mode of doing that a bit more, especially when we're talking about NgRx. There's I've done quite a bit of thinking on how NgRx and NX works best with kind of the modules as libs on the front end. So I'm gonna do things the way I like to do them, and we'll talk about that more when we look at the depth graph. Then, like I said, we're going to create an Angular service for our content posts. Should be pretty easy. Hopefully, we can get through all of these in the first half hour. That's kind of what I'm going to set up for myself here, and hopefully by then we can just introduce NgRx. We'll have talked already then about how I'm going to kind of set up the libs. We'll see. We're going to do something a little bit unique. It's unique, but I think it's better. And maybe one of these days I'll get Wes or Brandon or someone from the NgRx core team to take a look at how I'm doing it and see what their thoughts are on it. And then last piece, and this is kind of just this is one of the reasons why I really want to bring in NgRx. I want to get it so that when we have our app right now, when we make our post request to create a new content post and that comes back, I want things to work like dynamically, like an app. Like it's as soon as we get that thing back, we're going to put it right into our list, and So that's kind of how we're going to go. So let's get started with showing off NxCloud. Let me go ahead and switch the mode here. I want this guy. There we go. And I'm going to bring in NxCloud real quick. So one of the reasons why I wanted to show this is to show some of the cool graphs that they've got here. It's not too exciting for us. And it won't be exciting for us, unfortunately. So I had forgotten this when I had discussed, we're going to get some benefit from this. Until we set up like a CI pipeline, or until we get some more other people like tinkering with this and hacking at this, we're probably not going to see any actual time saved from this, because the way NxCloud or the way the distributed cache is going to work, it's always going to go to the local cache first. And so the local is the one on my machine. And unless there's someone out there who starts like testing some of my libs, we're not going to get that much benefit from it. Or if we get to the point where we set up CI and CD, then the distributed cache we may get some benefits from that. So we can see it's kind of just like broken out. Remember, we've just run the one build and the one test. Unfortunately, it doesn't work for serves, so that's too bad. But really cool. If you're running any big projects and you're already using NX, you should definitely be using NxCloud. So cool. I'm going to close that out now, and let's look at our current depth graph. So I'm going to open up the terminal. Let me kill some of these off so we can just start fresh. There we go. And so to open up the depth graph, we're just going to run npx nx dep graph, I think. There it is. So that showed up that we started. So kind of just like it serves this this depth graph project. Let me make that a bit bigger. Yeah, so we can see right now we don't have any of our apps selected. I'm going to go ahead and click select all. We can kind of see here. We can scroll in on that. So we can kind of see the way we've set up our apps and our libs. Apps are technically in these rectangles, and we haven't really brought in the concept of tags yet. That's probably something we'll be looking to do eventually. But you can see things like the tags. You can focus it, which is just going to focus on only things that it affects or that affects it. Let's go back to focus or select all. And the end-to-end is its own app. We have our API over here. We probably, I don't know. There's a way to set up some implicit dependencies on these things. We'll probably want to like create an implicit dependency between like the front end content posts and the back end content posts, because technically if the API does change, or specifically the content post API does change, this is definitely going to need to change. But we'll kind of already have that covered, because if we make the change, chances are it's going to change some of the models. So the models we have down here. The change here would require this to change, which is going to propagate up there. And this is actually the way NX runs its affected command. So affected is going to tell us what apps are actually affected by a change we make, and then we can kind of know from the start, oh, we only really need to rebuild these libs. So just thinking about what we're going to want to do with NgRx here. So we kind of have this existing structure, and this is good for the most part. We're going to create, like I said, the Angular service. We're going to put that right here inside of the front-end content posts. And the way I'm going to want to do state, I've seen it done a lot of different ways. My good friend Nitin wrote a book when I first joined Narwhal. He liked to have things where there'd be like a data util lib for like a feature or an entity type. So the idea would be like this would be the content post feature lib, and then it would depend on a content post data util lib. The problem with that was like usually the feature lib needed to like depended on the actions, and like but the actions were things got kind of messed up. It's kind of like a knot got created. Like me and my wife have been watching Dark on Netflix, kind of a big old knot like that with like circular dependencies and all that mess. So the way I like to kind of handle my the NgRx stuff is here inside of the front end content post. I'm going to want to put the reducer. So there's going to be like we're going to use NgRx entity here to like store just like serialized post, and we're going to have inside of this actual lib sort of like a state directory that's going to hold our reducer and our effects, and sort of. And that's all it's going to hold. And then if you can just imagine somewhere down here, somewhere at a lower level, we're going to have what's called like our circle web clients, NgRx, I don't know what we'll call it, like NgRx assets. The idea is this would include any action and any selector that the whole web client app would use. And I'll tell you why I like this. It's two reasons. One, it kind of solves the circular dependency thing. Like if the action is the selector at the very bottom level, then the effects are going to need to get the actions, so they'll just kind of depend on the actions down here. And if there's ever some other feature that needs to dispatch an action or needs to get some information from the content posts, like state, or like needs to fire something from the effect, it'll do so by like just inheriting the dependency from the action. Like imagine again there's an invisible little lib down here where all the actions live. So that's the first reason to solve the circular dependency issue. The second reason is because I watched this video that was very impactful to me. It was from ngConf. I think it was called Good Action Hygiene. This was with the NgRx core folk. I think it was Matt Ryan who did it. Mike Ryan, I'm sorry. So yeah, I'll just flash it up on the screen real quick. This is the minified version, but it's definitely worth a look or a listen if you get a chance. It just got me thinking about applications differently. Like the way Mike kind of laid things out, we think about our app in terms of if we can think of our app in terms of the actions, like we can kind of grasp what's going on with it. I don't think and the reason I like separating these actions out into their own thing at the bottom is because I don't think any action really belongs to a specific feature or specific lib. I think actions just kind of describe what we do with our app as a whole. So I would kind of see it. I would kind of see like this. It's not really like a dependency because there's the actual app's not going to actually import anything from our actions. But like we'll probably set something up with tags so that there's going to be a bunch of actions that live down here that that could only be associated with things tagged with something that says, well, this has to do with the web client. And so we can just kind of sit down and think, this is a social media site. What are the actions that really have to occur? Well, if we think about what we've done so far, the actions that will have to occur as well. A user's going to try to create a new content post. Then we'll have an event where either we get a message that content post was successful or that content post failed. And then we'll have an action where we load up we get the we initialize the contents list, and then from that we'll like have an effect that's going to go out and hit our API to get all the different posts, and then we'll either get a successful response from that or an unsuccessful one. So I think those are actually the actions we're going to make here. So again, hopefully by the end of this, we'll run the depth graph again, and we'll see. It'll just be like a TypeScript lib at the bottom here because we're not going to make an ng module for the lib. But yeah, let's go back to our markdown real quick. Let me just mark off a couple of these things as done. Showed off NxCloud. We discussed our depth graph. I had about 13 minutes to do the Angular service to match the schedule I had talked about. So I think we'll be okay with that. And before we move on, I wanted to add just at the end callouts. There's two things I wanted to call out real quick. The first is tonight at 7 p.m. Pacific, I'll be giving a talk at Seattle JS. So giving a talk about how it's a talk about declarative versus imperative, and it's very heavily focused on RxJS. So I'm looking forward to that. It's going to be kind of a more philosophical talk, which is kind of an interesting change up from the content I'm doing here, which is more like practical and like getting stuff knocked out. So I'm looking forward to that. The other one is tomorrow. I know this is at 11:30 PST. Check out Brandon's stream because he's going to have. There's been a lot of drama in the Angular community recently, and Brandon's got Jules and who else is coming on for that? He's got Jules and Stephen Fluen, big people involved with Angular, from the Angular, like the official Google Angular team. He's going to be talking with, so I think that's definitely going to be worth a watch. Brandon tweeted out if you got any questions to send them to him so he can ask them. I think that's going to be a really, really good broadcast. So make sure to check that out. So let's jump in. We're just going to go into create an Angular service for our content post endpoints. All right, so here we're going to want to have the retrieve messages, or retrieve content posts. We're going to want a retrieve content post by ID, and we're going to want to create a content post. Right. So this just matches the API. Let's look at that real quick. The our router for the content post. So remember, we can get just the root, which is going to get us all the posts. We can give an ID in there with a GET request, and that's going to get just the specific post for that ID. And then finally, we're going to have create post, which is going to let us go out and create a post. And we're consuming this one and this one so far inside of our components. But I actually just want to, like, in terms of where we actually like hit the URL and stuff like that, we're going to want to encapsulate that inside of a service. So let's get started by doing that up. It's still got 10 minutes, so I think we're doing good. Name of the service, we're going to call it the ContentPost service. Services will be added on there. And we're going to want to make sure. So I got stuck on this for a long time. This error is going to come up if you're running an Angular schematic where you don't have an ng module. And I was stuck on it because I had accidentally clicked this backend content post instead of the front end. So now you'll see with the backend. Oh, that worked. I don't know. maybe I'm still confused. But running it in the front end. Oh well. Who knows? Who knows what I meant? Maybe it's because of the component, and we're not actually touching anything other than creating these two files. Maybe it's because we weren't actually touching the module that is going to do that. Go ahead and skip tests for now. We can always add them in later, but I don't think there's much point in testing that. At least like testing it in a way we're going to like mock out the HTTP call. No sense in doing that if we're going to eventually cover that with end-to-end tests, which is how I'd like to cover it. So we'll run that, and let's give us our two new, or just our one, yeah, because we skipped the test. Oops, that's not what I meant to do. And here we go. And I'm going to bring up on the other side here, let's open this. I'm just going to bring over so this is the create content post component. I'm just going to use this for now to kind of reference it, because we already have, like, essentially what we want to do is create a method on the service to do this. And submit will then just call that method on the service. And we won't specifically inject the HTTP client directly into the component. The idea is we just inject the service. So to that end, we'll add the private HTTP, which is the HTTP client. And we're going to have create content post, which is going to take in content, which is going to be a string. Actually, no, let's have it do the actual body. So we're going to have it be the create content post body is I'll just call this request body. And this is going to give us an observable of a content post. So if you'll remember the way we implemented the API, what's this complaint about? Oh, it's because we're not returning that yet. The way we set up the API, after you create the post, the response to that post request is going to come back with the new fully formed content post. Because we're going to need the server to generate some of those things like the date and the author ID based off of authorization and like the ID and the date created. So we'll use this .http. We're going to just run like this, really. Do that, paste it. Content post, it all looks good. And then when we get to this part, we're just going to stick the request body in here. Cool. So this is going to return observable of content post. Oh, and I need to return that. Right. There we go. Everything's happy. And I'll go ahead and replace this now. So private content post service. That's a content post service. Give it a little that. And then here, we're still going to want to keep the subscribe, but here we're going to instead say this content post service dot create content post, and we'll say content is equal to this dot create post control dot value. Yeah. And that'll be that. It sucks that we don't have the type safety on the form, but that's okay. All right, so we got that one in. Let's go back to our service, and we'll put above this actually. Let's bring the list over here now. We're going to do a similar thing here. So we're going to call this one get content posts, and we're just going to, well, this will return an observable of content post, an array of them, and then here we'll return this dot http dot get. It's going to give us a content post array, and we'll just grab this URL here, save it, and finally get content post by ID. ID is going to be a string reservable of a single content post, content post service. Return this http get. I feel like I'm writing Java here. Here we'll do /API /content posts $$ID. There you go. Looking good, looking good. And again, here we can just get rid of the HTTP client and say it's a content post service, content post service, save it. This content dot get content posts. We can get rid of the rest. There you go. So everything's checking out. I'm going to go ahead and let's kill the dep-graph there. We're going to call npx nx serve our circle web client. And while that's running, I'm going to do the same thing for the API. Does NXS not work? Oh, let's see if S works. No, find target S. All right. Thought that worked. While that's serving, we're going to do the R circle API. Hopefully this will finish first before the proxy bounces out. Okay, good. Cool. So let's come over here. We're in our circle. Let's refresh. We see this. So we should be in the state we were in last time here. So here's test. Hit submit. That came back, and we got the response, but it didn't get dynamically added to the list. But if we refresh here, it's going to make a new fresh request to get all of them. Now we can see that test that we had submitted up there. So that's cool. Let's do this. Let's go ahead and let's mark this off. We did all of these. I'm just going to mark the whole thing as done. And let's let's introduce NgRx. Alright, so first we're going to want to install the libs. After that, we're going to want to create a actions selectors lib, and after that we're going to want to create an entity adapter for content posts, and then we're going to want to create our actions. And remember, we had said we kind of listed out 6 there. So the first was the user requests to create a new post. That's via the form. Let's put that in. Via the form. Create post succeeds. Let's put comes back with success. Create post comes back with error. And then we have, we'll just call it the list content post list inits. Get posts succeeds and get posts fails. And then we're going to want to create our reducer. We're going to want to create our effects. And these are both in the front end content posts lib. And if we have time, this is going to be a long list. I don't know if we'll get it all, but we'll see. Let me go ahead and there's a couple more tasks, but let me go ahead and start installing these things. npm I NgRx store NgRx effects NgRx entity and NgRx store devtools. So we created our reducer, created our effects. That's kind of like setting up our machine to handle things. And then finally, we're going to want to, in the content post list component, we're going to want to switch it up. So instead of it making a call itself, we're going to want to have it dispatch this action up here. So it dispatches an action on ng on init, and then content post list component. It selects post data from store, and then same thing here. So, but instead of the content post, we're going to do the create post component. Dispatch action on the form submit. And we're not actually going to want to select post data from the store. Ooh, excuse me. we're not going to want to select post added from the store, but we are going to want to listen for a success action and clear reset our form. So we'll see if we can get all this in. Let's try to hurry. So first is create. We installed the libs. Done. Create this lib is next. So we're going to do this, and so like I said, we want to make a lib, but we actually don't want the Angular one. We just want the narwhal workspace one because it's just going to be TypeScript because it's just the actions in our selectors. So we're going to call this. I don't know what we're going to call this. We're going to call this the R circle web client public NgRx stuff. Let's call it actions. It's going to include selectors too, but we'll call it actions. If someone else has a good name, tweet me. Tweet me and let me know. So this is going to be in front end. I think everything else we can just kind of go. We can just kind of run with. Everything looks good there. So let's run it. And front end, ContentPost. Here's that lib. Go ahead and delete that. Move to trash. New file. So we're going to call this our actions. Well, no. This is going to be our ContentPost actions. Do this. Yeah, we'll go with that for now. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to skip. So this is done. I'm going to skip this one for now, and we'll address these real quick. So we're going to import action creator from NgRx/store. That's fine. And we're going to export const, create, we'll call it request, create new post content. Oh, that's not what I want. I want create action. So I'm going to name this. So this is coming from the form. So we'll call this create content post form. Let's call it request create. I guess this doesn't matter too much. The idea we're going to want to have here is we're going to be looking at all the actions that are coming through our stream. We're going to want to be able to have an action that has a title like this that describes enough what's going on. So we're going to want to give this a props of the request body is a content post request body. I have to import this again because it's the first time inside this lib. Content. What do we call this? Just grab it. From Stack Livestream. There it is. What doesn't it like about this? feel like that's a lie, but whatever. We'll see. Does that? Let's check. Does that build? Well, let's restart it. So we made the new lib. Well, that doesn't matter. So we'll export const create new post, new content post succeeds. Let's create an action. We'll give this, so we're going to call this like the content post API create content post success. And that is going to give us a props of a content post. We'll do it like this. Response is a content post. I always like to do that with the props. Otherwise things can get a little weird because the content post will actually have a type inside of it because it'll like flatten it with the actual action itself. I'm going to copy this one and say create new content post fails. And what does that give us back? I think it's just an error. We won't even have some props here because all we'll need to know is that it failed. And then, so we got the first three done. We're going to create some new actions here. So we'll call this init post init content post list. Create action. All we'll need is the name, and so we'll split like content post list init. Come here. Actually, let's grab both of these two. So this is get content posts succeeds. Gives us back in the response to contest post array, and this is create content post fails. Get content posts. Probably didn't need to rewrite all of that, but that's okay. Alrighty, that's in there now. Now I'm going to want to create a new file here, call it the content post adapter. So we're going to import create entity adapter from at NgRx / entity, and we're going to export const. So this is the content post entity adapter equals create, and so select ID. So this is going to be an entity adapter of the content post type. Content post. Let me give us content post dot ID. Just look at the other things this could give us. So compare, don't really care about that. Let's go create the entity adapter. That looks good. All right. For now, that's all we'll do here. We could probably do some selectors here, but I'm just going to jump over that. So we're done with this. Creating our actions. We're done with that. Done. Next is creating our reducer. So we're going to come back into the content posts here. Inside of our lib, we'll create a new folder. We'll call it state. And inside here, we're going to create a new file. We're going to call it content post reducer ts. So this is going to be, we're going to import create reducer from NgRx ZLS store. Export const reducer is equal to create reducer initial state. So let's go back here. Let's take a look at this. Adapter. So we'll create a reducer, and so the type here is going to be an entity state of content post. I think so. This one I should be able to get in. This one I'll probably have to import specifically. Entity state from NgRx entity. Boom. And we're going to export over here const content post initial state. This entity state of content posts is equal to the content post entity adapter dot get initial state. So for now, we're just going to kind of use the vanilla entity state. I think there's overloads here where we can kind of add some more stuff to that. I'm not sure. But right now, we'll just use the entity state here. And we'll import the content post initial state. Oh, we'll need to export that here. So index export star from content post dot actions content post dot adapter, and go, and back inside the reducer we should be able to import this now. Import content post initial state from Zach live stream. Let's restart the type server so we can get this. This is another place where last time I had a big mix up, but let's see if we can do this better. See, it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I don't think it was me. Anyways, there we go. So we got the initial state. Then we're going to do on. So on the different actions. Let's look at have those up here ready. So on request create new content post. So whenever we create a new content post, we're really not going to do anything here. So we'll just have some state, returns the state. Later on we'll probably track the whether it's in flight and stuff like that, but for now I'll just ignore that. Create new content post succeeds. to update the state, we'll actually want to have the state and the response, and that's going to return the content. This entity adapter dot I thought it was like an insert one. Is it add one? Yeah, it's add one. Okay. Add one response. And it just takes the entity and then the state. Go. So actually, I'm actually just going to delete some of these because we don't really even care. If they don't mess with the state, we don't even need an on for them for now. So on the other one we're going to want to care about is the on get content post succeeds. We're going to have our state. We're not going to care. Oh wait, yes we are. Sorry. And we're going to have our, what do we call it? The response. Response is going to be that array. And so we're going to use the content post entity adapter dot add many, and we're going to add our response and the state. Alrighty, let's see. Looks like I need an extra paren. There you go. So that's our reducer. I'm going to go ahead and import into here the store module for feature. We're going to call the feature name content posts. We're going to use the reducer. There we go. So now whenever we see one of those actions, we'll be able to update our reducer. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the content post effects. Eventually, this is the kind of thing I actually might want to unit test somewhere down the line. So if you're looking for that, you can look forward to that. So we're going to export class content post effects. We're going to give it the decorator injectable for Angular. And we're going to use dependency injection to get in that same content post service that we created earlier. What was it like about that? Oh, constructor. There we go. Cool. And then we're going to want to create a action that's going to listen for or an effect that's going to create a new content post. So we'll actually just call this request create. I never know really what to name effects, but it doesn't seem to matter. Equals create effect. Create effect from NgRx effects. All right, so the way effects work is by default, you give it an observable that an observable of an action, and the effects class is just going to be responsible for always listening to that observable and always dispatching those actions when it sees them observed from the observable. So we're going to start, we actually need to add into here our private actions, which is our action stream. This dot actions dot pipe of type, paste that in there. So whenever we see an action of this type, we are going to, let's see, I'm trying to decide concat map or switch map. I think switch map makes more sense for now. Switch map, and we're going to deconstruct that action to get out the request body. To go to the content post service. Create content post. Pass in the request body. There we go. And then we'll pipe on this so that if we get a response, we're just going to map that response to this action over here. It succeeds with the response. Otherwise, we're going to catch errors and create fails. All right. One of the things I don't much like about creating effects is they always go red all the time, and it's just not. It's always kind of frustrating to figure out why. One thing I've noticed is these operators tend to make things red and not be very helpful. If you don't know that, there's still an error here. Oh, we still need switch map. I forgot about switch map. Good old switch map. And we need to just import this. To actually call that, and I need to use of here because, whoops, we're going to need to do it unobservable of that action. There we go. There we go. Need of from RxJS. Have a 0 in there. Whatever. There you go. Missing a paren, I think. And there we go. Effect number 1 is created. We got 3 minutes. Let's go. Got ground to make up. We'll do this one. It's going to do pretty much the same exact thing. Let's grab it all the way down to here. Let's grab the whole thing. Why not? I'm just going to copy and paste it and then edit it. All right. So of type, we need to do instead. Nope. This one. Nope. Let's get a $sign in this. Switch map. Don't need to care about what it's sending in. Don't need to care about what's in here because we want to get content posts. Map our response to the get content post succeeds. Otherwise, it's the get content post that no fails. There we go. Effects are set up. Let's go in here. Effects module for feature array, including the content post effects. Go, go, go. Okay, and then inside of our app, we're going to need to do it. I forgot. Pull it up here. Module imports. We need the store module for root. Pass in an empty reducer. And then we're going to use the effects module for root empty array. Import that. So because we registered those things as 4 features on the content post module, when we import this, I think we'll probably have to do it underneath these actually. When we import this, it's going to, even though the store reducer doesn't have any reducers registered and the effects has nothing in there, by importing this, we're going to essentially get them in there. Let's take a look. How close are we? We're at time. What more did we want to do? This is done. Let's see if we can wrap this up quick. This is done. we could do this. I'm going to preemptively put done and done on this one. Oh, that selector is going to be hard. No, it won't. No, it won't. It actually will. But content post list component. No, stop that. So this one needs to implement on init. ng on init. Don't need any of this. Need the store. So by doing the stuff we did with the effects there, we're essentially removing the need for even the service to be injected inside of our components, which I personally like a whole lot. So we're going to dispatch here the request get content post. What was the name of that action? Oh, init content. Dodoy. There we go. This can go away. Well, no, this still needs to be that, but instead we're going to get from this store.pipe select. And we need to add our selectors down here. Let's do this real quick. File content post dot selectors. I think this is the one selector I really need, so I'm just going to do that real quick. Import create feature selector from, oh, it was already here. I was a fool. Export const select all posts, and that's going to be export content post state, create feature selector. Here we just need to pass in the name of the slice of state, which are called content posts. Export const select all posts, and we're going to get the create selector. I always forget how this one works, but we're going to do the content post state, and then from that state we're going to go to the content post entity adapter. We have to import from just a sibling file. You can't even give me that VS Code. Come on. Dot selectors, get selectors, dot select all. Is that it? I don't know. Let's see. Seems wrong. Why does it think this is here an entity adapter of anything? Weird. Let me look at the docs here real quick. I know we're going over time. We're just going to deal with it because I want to get this working before we're done. So we want to look at entity. I guess we'll just go get selectors. Maybe it's in the here recipes. That's not really what I want. We find selectors, entity selectors. Okay. How do I bring in the feature selector So create feature selector, create feature selector. Oh, that's it. Okay. I was close. There we go. So now we have that selector. So now we can, well, let's make sure, is this exported? No. SAR from lib/ContentPost selectors. Oh, that was weird. Then up here, select all posts. There you go. Let's check that real quick. There's an error. What's this error about? What are you talking about, an error? Get out of here. Why are you talking about that? Clearly, it has... Oh. Does this happen yesterday? I didn't explicitly export it. Like a fool. There you go. Now coming back here. That should work. I'm going to go ahead and set the API just to clear out the list again. That still didn't work. What is it talking about? Does it have no exported member? Maybe it was me. Was that not the whole thing? Jeez. There we go. Oh, yeah. That should work. There we go. Let's take a look. So, yeah. Let's take a look. Oh, I need to go to the app module. We've got that. We're going to want to port the store dev. What is it called? Let me bring up the NgRx docs again. NgRx docs are so good, by the way. Everything about NgRx is amazing. I think they had some good docs on just how all I want to do is install it. That's not what I meant by install. Just show me the recipe. I don't care about excluding from production for now. Port store devtools module from. And I always do a little bit of this just to make sure we don't miss anything. Not that we're anywhere near that right now. But now, by setting up the store devtools module, we see we are dispatching this when the list initializes, and we're getting that information. It's coming in through the selector to come through here now. So that's set up. We want to adjust the create content post form next. So we can get rid of this service from here. So we just want to put in the store and submit. All we're going to do here is this store dispatch request. And here is the request body, which is content, which is equal to this create post and rule of value. There we go. And then we're going to do this real quick. How do I want to do this? Let's do this real quick. Implements on destroy, private, destroying, new subject of nothing. Import that on the bottom here, ng on destroy, this dot destroying dot next. Boom. All right. 10 minutes over. We're close. I'm going to keep going. So inside of this, we're just going to listen. So we're actually just going to bring in private actions, the action stream here, and we're going to listen this actions pipe of type create content post succeeds not subscribe. Doesn't matter what comes back from inside of that. We just want to take that and this dot create post control dot reset, call it. And here we want to take until this destroying. Boom. All right. Ooh, let's clean that up. All right. So what this did, we created a destroying subject that's going to fire when we call ng on destroy. We're going to take the subscription only until we start destroying. So as soon as we destroy, we're going to unsubscribe. But while we're subscribed, when we get action of type success, we're going to reset the form. It was bothering me that the stuff was still in there. So we're resetting it. On the submit, we're going to dispatch this. I think that's all we need to do. Yeah, I think that's it. Let's see if this works. Create a post, test, submit. Boom! There it is. We did it, folks. Only 12 minutes over. So in 42 minutes, we brought in NgRx. We did everything we wanted to do. We have dynamic updating lists now. This list is awesome. Submit. I love that post so much. I'm going to post it again. Now I almost wish I wasn't resetting this form so I could just spam that button. But look at all these great posts. Look at all of them. Beautiful. All right. Thanks for hanging out, everyone. Hopefully I'll see some folks at the Seattle JS. Really looking forward to that. And make sure you catch Brandon's thing tomorrow. It's going to be awesome. Thanks, y'all. Bye.